What's up? And welcome to episode 153 of Throwback Hoops. My name is Rob Clayton, and joining me as always is my main man, Woody V.
153, man. They're getting up there, those numbers, right? So, man, it's good to be back.
Now, isn't it? No, great to have you, mate. And of course, really pleased to have a special guest. So I did tease at the end of last week's show that I wasn't going to brag about this week's guest, but yeah, really excited to introduce this guy to the show this week. So this guy won an NBL championship with the Perth Wildcats in 2017 and has played in a number of state comps around Australia. Last year, he was one of the stars in the NBL1 East, leading a much improved Manly Warringah team to the finals with strong play at both ends of the court. It's a big Throwback Hoops welcome to Mason Bragg.
G'day, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks very much for joining us, mate. Look, I know we teed this up when I got to call the Hills against Manly game last year. I think I may have come over and surprised you with one of your old Wildcats jerseys. I think you probably were surprised about seeing one of them, right?
Yeah, that was probably one of my favourite moments of the year. It's been a long time since I've signed one of those jerseys, so it was cool to see.
Nice professional photo that our boy James did for us as well there. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Were you always number 3? Because I know you were surprised about the number, weren't you?
No, yeah, because my first year I was number 11. I joined the team just before the season started, so kind of had last pick of the numbers, and there wasn't too many to choose, and a lot of them have been retired, which is number 6 is mine. I think Ricky Grace might have been number 6. I'm not sure, but
15. Yeah,
15. There was someone that was number 6 that retired. And then Bryce Cotton's number was actually number 11, and he asked me if I could swap with him. And so I thought I'd do him a solid and swap with him. So,
so he came on wearing 0, isn't he? And then those first there's a few bit of then around. So
nice. So then we swapped, and I went to 3, and he went to 11.
Okay, nice. Well, as I mentioned to you, we like starting off our show, Mason, just with showing a bit of a jersey and maybe a bit of a story about that jersey. So you can see you're rocking something nice today. So why don't you tell us about it?
It's actually Launceston Ocelots. I reckon it's probably late 80s when my dad came out to play. You can see the logo there backwards. It's actually the SEABL, so what's now the NBL1 South. Probably from the late 80s when my dad came down as an American import in the late 80s. It's actually number 6, which is why I wear number 6 in all my games I play, or I try to be number 6 in every team I play for my dad. So
very cool. Tell us a little bit about that with your dad, Mason, because I wasn't sort of aware of that. So he came out here as an import, like in the 80s there. What was his sort of playing style like? And he obviously stayed in Australia after coming here. Yeah,
he came out in 1985. I can only remember vaguely him playing, but we were pretty different. He was more of a 3-4 man, super athletic, dunked the ball, shot lots of threes, played a bit in the post, could do a bit of everything really, but I only have really vague memories of him playing. I remember him getting a few dunks here and there. They actually won the national championship in 1998, I think. When they were the Bogues Originals then. So there's a few. Ben Armstrong was playing, who's the dad of Taryn and Trey Armstrong, who I'm sure you might be familiar with, and Dave Buer and a few other guys that were really talented in that team. So, yeah.
And did his story sort of evolve as he got older? Was he suddenly like, a moment away from the NBA or something? These stories get better over a few years and they get older? Or?
No. I don't think so. He might tell you different. But, he was a really good import for Tassie for a long time. But he just played state leagues. He didn't play NBL or anything like that, yeah.
Nice. All right, appreciate you showing us that one, mate. That's a nice jersey there. And Woods, I know you've got something, a bit of an NBL theme on. Why don't you show us what you got today?
Sure.
So Woods is standing up, rocking the old school Brisbane Bullets Torrey Craig jersey. I know we wanted to pick a player from the era that you were playing there, Mason. So I know you're a big fan of this guy as well, Woods.
Yeah, I'll tell you why I wore this jersey today, Mason. 2016-17 was Torrey Craig's last year in the NBL, and that year was special for you as well. It was your first year playing for the Wildcats, right?
Yeah.
And that paved the way when Torrey Craig went. Terence Ferguson as well, before the Next Stars program and everything, it paved the way for, imports or people who had their sights on taking that leap to the NBA, using the NBL as a good, jumping board basically. And the league has evolved over the last 8 years. So I just wanted to ask you, how have you seen the change in the NBL over the last 8 years with all the eyes on it and the ascension of it as a product, and as I said, as a ground for maybe getting yourself a chance to play overseas in the NBA or other leagues, etc.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you're definitely right that 2016-17 seasons were kind of the start of the NBL's ascendance as a really well-known professional league in the world. Like you said, Torrey Craig and Terence Ferguson came to the league, and then I guess when LaMelo Ball came to the league, that's kind of when things went gangbusters, because LaMelo Ball's stats didn't really pop off the table, but I think the league got a lot of respect, and you don't have to necessarily come down here and average 40 points a game to be looked at as someone that could potentially make an impact in the NBA. So, the professionalism and the way the league's looked at has been amazing. I really wish I was playing now instead of playing back in 2016, because the exposure now is just on another level with Instagram and Facebook and all the V coverage and KO and stuff. So, super stoked for the league and everyone playing in it now.
Yeah, well, it's great to hear that from you. And I just want to double click on one thing you said there. You said it's not about coming here and scoring 30 points, 40 points. A lot of brothers have come down and done that, right? It's been done before. But can you do something really well? Like Torrey Craig, he's a wing defender who can knock down that open three, right? He serves a purpose in the NBA, and he's been able to translate that NBL opportunity to because he does something, he specializes. So maybe speak on that a little bit more, Yeah,
well, I guess I can use myself as an example for that. When I got picked up by Perth, I was playing in what's now the NBL1 South, but was SEABL back in the day, and I was only averaging like 9 points, 5 assists and 4 rebounds, which is nothing that anyone would look twice at. But I guess they kind of saw my defense and the way that I run the ball and set up the team and seen something in me, and I was able to translate that to the NBL level for a short period of time. So, it's really interesting the way Australian basketball works. You don't necessarily have to be the most talented player out on the court. The way the game's played in the NBL, it's very team orientated and very structured. So, I think as long as you can you look at someone like Mitch Norton. He doesn't do anything too flashy. He would never give you like 30 or 40 points a game, but he consistently gives you 12, 13 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and that kind of gets it done, and that's why he's played so long in the league.
I think every team would like to have a Mitch Norton on their roster, wouldn't they?
Yeah. It's very easy at home for people to say, "Oh, look at these guys. They can't dunk, or they're not super fast, but they're just solid players, and they really get the job done night in, night out."
And it's a good message for youngsters, what Mason said. If you've got a skill set that you can focus on and get really good at it and specialize, and it's going to give you success at the higher levels through the Australian system, right? And then and higher honours as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
I appreciate it, Woods. Well, something a bit different. Normally I have a player jersey. I've got a random one I'm just going to quickly show you. So it's actually it's like the team here. So, Woody, I think that's how many championships the Wildcats have won. I think that's what that's supposed to mean. But wasn't really sort of the purpose of showing that. I would have loved to have worn my Mason Bragg jersey, but unfortunately I ate a little bit much over the Christmas holidays. But that's the jersey in question there. Nice of Mason to sign it when we met last year. But great jersey. I think I've got around 70 Wildcats jerseys, Mason, just for a bit of context there. And I love getting some of the more random ones. I've got a Drake UU jersey in there, which people say, who the hell's that guy? So ones like that. So a little bit more random are the ones I like there. But I know Woody showed that one earlier. So that's a pretty cool one for the collection. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it on today. But one thing we also do, mate, is we show a card of the week, right? So, I'm a bit of a collector of NBA and NBL cards. So I thought I'd keep it simple this week and show, I guess, a card of a Wildcats legend who's actually going to notch up his 500th game on Sunday in Sydney, which I'm looking forward to be there in person to see. So it's a Jesse Wagstaff Topps Chrome card from 23-24. So, just wanted to ask you what your memories were of playing with Mr. Wagstaff.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I was just talking to Jesse a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to go watch him play his 500th game. Nice. On Sunday. I haven't watched him play in a couple of years. I normally, each year, I think, I better go watch him play because it's the last chance I'll get to see him, and then he ends up playing another year. So I think it's been happening for the last 5 years. But Jesse, he's a great guy. He's super professional, really smart, a really great leader. Kind of similar to what we talked about earlier on. He's not going to give you 30 or 40 points, but just does the solid stuff, sets good screens, gets rebounds, does all the little things, which is really kind of idolizes the Wildcats brand of basketball, and he's probably one of the pillars of their success over the last 10 years.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned his leadership. I was lucky enough to get some front row tickets for the game against Illawarra earlier this year. Unfortunately, Illawarra smashed the Wildcats, but we were sort of keeping a close eye on Jesse. Every time a player had come off the court, he'd have a little chat with them, always in a positive way. You'd see him, communicating with some of the young guys, your Ben Henschels, your David Okwera, Pepper, these sort of guys. It was really sort of good seeing that. I'm like, wow, if he wanted to play another 1, 2, 3 years, I think anyone would be happy with that, because he's such a good leader and everything else like that. So I think it's more just the ball's in his court, right? I think if he wants to come back. But I know what you mean, though, Mason. You feel like you want to sort of be there because it might be the last time you get to see him in person. So I'll keep an eye out for you on Sunday. I'll come say hi.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, looking forward to seeing him there. So.
Yep.
All right, well, we're sort of really looking forward to chop it up with you and sort of find a little bit about your career and sort of what you do and everything else like that. So I guess the first thing we'd like to ask you, I guess there, Mason, is, we probably know a little bit from hearing about your father there, but, how you discovered your love for the game and who were some of your early influences getting into basketball?
Yeah, I've been playing basketball ever since I can remember. Obviously, Dad being an American import and playing basketball, I've kind of had a basketball in my hand ever since I could walk. So I always used to go watch him play and used to idolize him. He was my favourite player growing up. And back in the day, when you're growing up in Tassie, you don't have exposure to. We didn't have an NBL team back in the day, and there was barely any televised NBA games in Tassie. So probably some names that you probably won't be super familiar with. Guys like I mentioned before, Ben Armstrong and his brother Sam Armstrong there. Sam is brothers Ben, and Ben's obviously Trey and Taron Armstrong's dad. So I grew up idolising him. He was a point guard, really good. Nick Haywood, Scott and Lee McGaffin. It's just some local legends that you guys might not have heard of, but were really influential towards me. And I think a great thing for me is I got to play with and against all those guys, and it was kind of a sponge. And they taught me a lot. So I'm pretty grateful to play with and against those guys.
How big was it when the Hobart Devils came into the NBL in the 90s? And that must have been a big thing for the state.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea. I was way too young for that, but I know it was massive for the state, and I think they did really well. I think they were really good when the team folded. But yeah, it's been awesome to see the Jack Jumpers come back in the fold, and basketball has really picked up massively since the Jack Jumpers have been back in the state.
Have you been to a game with the Jack Jumpers?
I haven't. I have not been to a game. They play down in Hobart.
Hard to get a ticket though, wouldn't it, if you wanted to go, right?
It would be, and they're 4 hours away from where I'm from, and I'm not home that often anymore. But yeah, it'd be good to see a game. I've got a lot of connections with the team and a few guys that are playing on the coaching staff that I know pretty well. So I'll have to try and get to a game soon for sure.
Nice. Well, there is a bit of a Wildcats connection with that team as well, obviously. So.
Yeah.
Well, the Hurricanes won the BBL. I got to say that. So you got a cricket title and a basketball title. So it's pretty cool, man.
Sport's going strong, and especially with the AFL team coming in as well too. It's a good time to be in Tassie if you're an aspiring sports star.
Definitely. So while we're on that, growing up in Tassie, it's a sport-loving town, right? Was it just basketball? Because obviously the influence of your father would have been basketball. But was there anything else? You pick up a cricket bat, a footy ball?
Nah, it was just basketball. I had a lot of mates. AFL was pretty big in Tassie, so I did play a couple of years of high school footy in secret. I didn't tell my dad at first because he wouldn't let me play, so I kind of played secretly without him knowing. I did a bit of running back in the day when I was a bit younger and a bit faster, a bit of track. I used to run the 400, but it was pretty much just basketball for me, mate. Yeah.
And like you did say you've got some of the local stars you looked up to, right? But there must have been like an NBA guy or an NBL guy that you modeled your game on a little bit, or in the backyard you said, I'm trying to be like him, So was there someone like that?
I mean, yeah, I always loved Allen Iverson growing up. I actually, believe it or not, I had cornrows back in the day, and had an Allen Iverson jersey and shorts and used to wear it all the time. But local sports, and it's faded off a little bit, but back in the day, local sport in Tassie was like the NBA for us. So us going to go watch our local Tassie teams play against each other was our version of watching the NBA. I used to idolise the hell out of these guys. I remember being the floor wiper guy for some of the games and looking up at these guys and just thinking these guys were like the Michael Jordan of Tasmania. So as much as I loved Allen Iverson, it's kind of hard to describe it, but those local guys were really massive for me, which is pretty cool to look back on.
I hear that. And you would have been around them a lot as well with your father,
All the
right?
time.
So at practices and things like that. So you look up to them like, as father figures as well, I'm sure, right? So,
yeah, well, Ben played with my dad and won a national championship, and then I ended up playing against him when he was still really good, and then ended up getting to play with him as well too. So that was really cool.
Full circle.
Yeah, full circle, and then obviously played against and with his sons as well too. So it's a pretty cool experience down there in Tassie.
Nice. Well, talk to us a little bit about that junior basketball in Tassie there. Did you have much success, as a junior, playing there? Was it always a goal for you to make the NBL, or did that just kind of happen?
Nah, I was a bit of a late bloomer. Didn't really make too many representative teams. Never really started many games. I didn't play much as a junior. In Tassie, when you try it for a state team, there's only like 10 people that try out. So making a state team isn't that hard. And I didn't make many of those. I never started a state game. It wasn't probably until I was like 18 or 19 then I started to mature a bit physically, and my game started to come together a lot. I would have always loved to play NBL, but it never really was a serious thought until I was like 19 and 20, and I hit my strides more. And then it all kind of came at me in 15 minutes, it felt like. So, yeah.
And do you think the defense was the big part of your game that obviously got you that role in the NBL? That's very evident for me, watching your career, even watching in the NBL1 East last year, your defense is absolutely first class there. Was that the sort of thing you wanted to make your calling card?
Yeah, I guess not being super talented and didn't really have much game when I was a junior, I was kind of forced to work super hard, and that was kind of my only way to get playing time or to show myself on the court. So it kind of worked out well that I kind of made that my staple as a junior, and then I already had that when my offensive game started to come along a little bit more. So that was definitely my pride and joy was my defense, especially when I was playing with Perth.
You're still doing it now at age 30 or 31, mate. So that certainly doesn't drop off that close.
Yeah, it's not getting any easier. I tell you what, these young guys are getting quicker and quicker. So I'm trying my best still.
Nice. Well, look, we mentioned it. You made your NBL debut in the 2016-27 season as a development player with the Perth Wildcats. So the team was coming off a championship in 2016, but they really struggled early, didn't they, in that 2017 season? Had some players moving on, had some key injuries. The addition of some bloke named Cotton seemed to go pretty well, and saw the team go from last place during the season to actually winning the grand final in a sweep over Illawarra. So what are your memories of that rookie season?
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I actually was only meant to be up there for 2 weeks as a trial run for a development spot the next year. I believe they didn't give anything away, but they invited me up for 2 weeks just to train with the team, just as the season started, and they just wanted to see how I went in the environment. And yeah, just got super lucky. They got a couple injuries, and I was forced to play. I had no idea I was even going to play a game. I thought I'd just come home and that'd be the end of it. Played a game, played well, had a really good game against the Sydney Kings, and then they told me in the change rooms after the game that they'd fly me home and I'd pack my stuff back up and come back for the rest of the season. So that was a pretty crazy experience. Then we had a lot of injuries and we had a few import changes and stuff was pretty hectic there.
A lot
behind the scenes, and we weren't winning. And I think like you said, with the bottom ladder in December, it was kind of good for me in a way because I was getting a bit. A lot of the starters and a lot of the other guys were injured, so it allowed me to play a bit. I think we had the playoff streak of like 30 years something, and that was looking like it was about to be broken. I was in a bit of turmoil, but then Bryce got, I think, 1st of January, and then the rest is history.
Replaced then? I was thinking today, who did he actually replace?
So they had Jaron Johnson to start the year, I believe, and then they cut him, and they brought in Andre Ingram, and then they cut him, or he left, and then they brought Jaron Johnson back. And then they cut him again, and then Bryce came in for Jaron Johnson. So, and then Jamil McKay and Casey Prather were there the whole
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seem to remember
It
Ingram
was
having
pretty.
one big game right before he got injured that season. I feel like he had like a good game. Where he hit some
Maybe
shots
it was
and a big
before I
game.
actually came. I came just as all that stuff was happening, so I was kind of a bit oblivious to everything that was going on. I was just kind of happy to be there and a bit wide-eyed about the situation.
I've got to ask you as well. Obviously, winning the championship. What were the celebrations like that year?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, our team was pretty. A lot of older guys. Everyone had families and kids, so it was probably a good environment for me to be in. And as a young kid coming into the NBL, a lot of good guys to run by example. We still had Sean Redditch and Damien Martin, Greg Heyer and Jesse Wagstaff and Jared Kenny as well too, veteran guys to model off and to see how to act and behave as a professional basketball player was good. But yeah, I mean, winning the championship was pretty nuts. I mean, it was like 5 months ago. I was sitting at home watching these guys on the couch, and now I'm in the locker rooms drinking a beer with them with a championship ring on my finger. So it was a pretty sick. Lucas Walker as well too was another one who I forgot about who played with us this year. Yeah, so we had a bunch of veteran. It was really, really cool.
It's pretty cool to know that you'll always be known as an NBL champion as well. You'll always have that sort of alongside your name. So
it probably didn't really
special.
sink in as much until maybe like a couple of years later when everyone was still talking about it. I didn't really think it would be something that'd be attached to my name for so long. But it was really cool, and I was super fortunate. I think I was just super proud that I was able to have an impact in probably 5 games there and help the team actually to win some games. That was cool. So I didn't feel like I just sat on the bench the whole year. I actually got to provide a little bit to the team. So.
Woods?
Yeah, look, I was just, you mentioned all those veterans that you had on that roster. You mentioned a whole host of names. You being a rookie there, was there someone who took you under their wing? Like, who's your vet that year? Was there someone specific, or was it just a group effort to just make you feel welcome?
We had many. It's kind of like, it's not like now. I guess the Wildcats now it's Jesse's kind of him, but there was probably 5 or 6 guys that were really putting me in their wings. So there was no sole responsibility. It was kind of really, which was cool. It was only me and Reese Vague. I'm not sure if the name rings a bell. Me, Reese Vague,
we know Reese
Vague, who was a player at the time,
Yeah.
and we were kind of the 3 young guys, and we just kind of followed everyone else's example. But there wasn't anyone specific. Got along with Lucas Walker really well. He's from Tasmania, so he was really good, especially in my first couple games. He was really good. I still remember him had to me before my first game and just telling me how it's going to be okay. Get too nervous and just play your game. He was really good towards my development in my first year.
Got to ask you about Damien Martin as well there, Mason, someone that's one of my all-time favourite Wildcats. What was he like as a teammate there?
Great, he was awesome. I message him very rarely, but whenever I do, I have to scroll up and look at all the messages he sent me when we were playing together at Perth, and he was always giving me great advice and giving me the do's and don'ts and picking apart things in my game that I should improve, stuff that I'm really good at. And he was really, it was super great to see close up how great of a defender he was. Seeing it on TV is one thing, but actually having to play in training is another thing. I can actually remember one off season, I was working out every day, thought I was in the best shape of my life. He rolled in after 2 months off not touching a basketball, and we played 1-on-1 for probably 15 minutes. I don't think I was able to put the ball on the floor once. It was absolutely ridiculous. He won every game, probably 5-0, I reckon. So, he's an amazing talent guy.
Such a good bloke, right? I've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times, and I remember I was almost shocked the first time. It's like, he can't be this nice, can he? But yeah, it's exactly how you kind of imagine he would be, I guess. But no. And another guy as well is Casey Prather was on that team with you as well, right? So we've seen a massive resurgence from him this year with the Bullets there. What was he like, playing all those years ago?
Yeah, really, really good. He was pretty quiet at training in the games, but he was a really nice guy, and he definitely helped me out as well too, and always give me advice and always in my ear on the in the game and stuff and chatting to me. So I think that's probably why we had such great success in the end. We just had 1 to 12. Everyone was a really good guy, and everyone supported each other. I couldn't speak any more highly about any of these guys. Casey Prather was really nice. He definitely was probably the most I don't know what, like Hollywood type player. Like he just had this aura when he entered. Like wow, like you knew when he was in the room. Bryce was kind of like a bit smaller and flew under the radar, but Casey, you definitely knew when he was there. He always had the coolest fashion and always had the coolest shoes, and he was definitely the more Hollywood player that I played with for sure.
Well, we talked about how much the game has changed, right? When he was playing with you, you could even put him at the 1 in high ball screens and things like that. And now he's playing the 4 for Brisbane, right? The game's changed a lot, right? He's adapted and he's changed his game after all the injuries to still be effective. That's testament to him to adapt over time.
Yeah. It's crazy that he's still playing and playing well. It's been nearly 10 years since he last played with me, and that was he still looks just in shape. He's been in really been was super athletic. He obviously isn't as athletic as what he was before, but you can tell he's still been working on his game a lot.
Hey, Woody, on Prey though, I know obviously we're both big fans. We didn't expect him to have this season this year, did we?
No, not at all. And I thought that losing that athleticism and things, how is he going to make up for it? And he's a much smarter player, and he makes some great decisions with the ball in hand. So as I said, I didn't expect it, and it's good to see that
It's great to
a
see.
guy at his age and after going through all those injuries can come back and still have an impact in the league, right? So
Absolutely.
I
So
believe
second,
he was.
sorry,
It was his second year with Perth when I came in. Right, he was there the year before too.
yeah,
So I
he
have
was.
some weird feeling
Yeah.
that when he came in,
because he won
wasn't
3
having.
championships in a row, didn't he? I think. Was it two
No,
at
but
Perth,
I'm
one with
pretty
Melbourne
sure I
next year,
remember
I think it
him.
was.
Pretty sure I remember him coming in and not having the greatest impact when he first came in, and then he really just ascended, playing with Jermaine Beale, I think, the year before.
Yeah, so
But
he was there 2015-16, so that was the year
yeah,
before you joined. He was. Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's three in a
yeah.
row. I think he went to Melbourne and won. It was like 3 consecutive
Okay.
final wins
That's
for him.
correct.
So,
That's
Yep,
correct.
yeah,
That's
pretty
yep,
crazy, isn't it?
yep.
So, what about that second season there, Mason? So 2017, 2018. You played a bit more limited minutes, didn't you? The team ended up losing to the semis to Adelaide. Was it disappointing for you to not get more of an opportunity? And looking back now, 7 years later, what are some of those memories you have of those 2 seasons in the NBL?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of like, I mean, the 2 other guys in my position, one was Damian Martin, the other one was Bryce Cotton, and then we had a veteran, Jared Kenny as well too. So I was pretty realistic. I knew I was probably never going to play unless those guys were injured or in foul trouble or weren't in good form. And I mean, my first year, there was a bit of a combination of all three, with all the roster changes and injuries and performance with us. But I mean, I didn't probably realise it until a couple of years after. But even getting to train against those guys every day, even though I wasn't playing, was super beneficial for my development of my game. But yeah, the second year was super hard, especially since I had a bit of buzz from my first year, and thought I'd maybe play a little bit and have a bit more of an impact. But it didn't turn out that way. But I was just super grateful to be there and being able to learn and be part of a super successful club like the Perth Wildcats. So yeah.
And Trevor Gleeson, what was he like as your head coach for those years?
Yeah, he was super hard on me and super strict, and he's very very military like in the way his trainings are run. Everything has to be perfect. Attention to detail. That's a sentence that probably gives me a bit of PTSD. But yeah, like I did with training against a lot of the veterans. Now that I look back on it, it really made me a better basketball player. And I'm super grateful to have him as a coach for those couple of years. He definitely improved my game a lot just with his attention to detail and how hard he was on me. I might have hated it at the time. It's definitely paid off in the long run. So yeah, super grateful. I say to people now, I would have rather play 2 years at Perth with Trevor Gleeson than go to another NBL club with the coach that wasn't as influential for 3. So yeah.
Oh, good call.
Well, Mason, after those 2 years and you parted ways with the Wildcats, it still did open up some opportunities for you. You played some state league in WA after that, as well as the New Zealand Basketball League, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
How's that time for you? And did you ever get close to another opportunity to come back to the NBL?
Yeah, I actually, after my last year with Perth, I managed to be a training player with the 36ers for a year with when Joey Wright was there.
Yep.
Agent kind of had ties to Adelaide, so they got me a spot on the training roster with Adelaide 36ers, and I was probably an inch away from getting an injury replace spot when Ramon got injured late in the season. But I think they were just on the verge of making the playoffs, so they told me that they decided to go with Sean Bruce instead. I think he just got back from playing somewhere and wasn't playing anywhere, and they brought him in, and I totally understand. As a coach, I'd be doing the same thing. He's obviously a super classy player and a veteran guy, and does all the little things. So, as how close I was to represent another NBL club, I totally understood. But that was a really cool experience to play against Nathan Moore and a couple of those other guys. Jacob Wiley was there that year as well too. Highlight machine. So super fortunate to be part of another club. Wright was a really cool coach as well too. He's a really special guy.
Everyone always speaks highly of Joey, don't they? People that have sort of been around him and everything else. Obviously, knows the game so well with his playing and coaching. So that's good to sort of hear that that sort of happened. What about the NBL thing? Was that like a team based in Tasmania? Did I hear that?
It was. It was. They it was when we get a bit of buzz for NBL. They decided to put a team in the New Zealand NBL just to get a bit of buzz and just to show that the state could fund a team in a national comp. Folding, it was owned by a completely different ownership group, and it kind of it was a big time down there. It wasn't ran super, but it was a completely different organisation group than the people that brought in the Jack Jumpers. So
It's interesting. We see a lot of NBL players going over to New Zealand, don't we, in the off seasons now and playing in that league. I know the Wildcats have got a real connection with the team there, and a lot of those sort of younger guys. I know Ben Henschel had some success there last year, so it's good that there's sort of these pathways, I guess, whether it's NBL1 or the the New Zealand NBL there. But that's probably a bit of segue to asking you some NBL1 talk there, Mason. So last year you were one of the absolute stars in the NBL1 East with Manly Warringah. So you obviously played around Australia. How did you enjoy this time living and playing in Sydney, and how did the opportunity arise for you to come and play with Manly?
It was, since I've stopped playing professionally and just been playing semi-professionally, I had a bit of a goal of mine to travel Australia as I can, just playing semi-professionally and using my basketball avenues to open up career opportunities through work and to move around the country and live in different places. So I'm obviously not going to be able to play basketball forever. So while I'm still able to walk and run and jump, I'm just trying my way around Australia as much as possible. But I think since moving to Manly, I've kind of found a home that I think I'd like to stay for quite some time, which is really relieving because I'm a bit sick of moving after every year or two and packing my suitcases. It sounds like a really cool lifestyle, but when you can't buy or own any furniture, or you kind of make some friends and then you leave and then you got to people and start a new job, you kind of get a bit sick of it after a while. So I've really enjoyed my time
too, right?
It is. It's a nice part of the world. It's also very cheap. So that was kind of one thing I wasn't super prepared for in the northern beaches. But yeah, so what was the part of that question?
Oh, just how the opportunity here, like sort of, how did you sort of get in touch with the Manly sort of people and end up getting the gig there?
Yeah, I just knew a couple of people through the club. Obviously, basketball in Australia, it's a small world. Everyone knows everyone, and I was just having a bit of a chat with some. I said they might be in the market for and they had a bit of a down year. They're looking to recruit some players. So I think I got Tim's number through someone, or they had a quick chat on the phone, and then were able to work out quickly. And I moved down.
Talk to us a little bit about Coach Tim Hill there, Mason. So I know a lot of people rave about him. My niece actually played in a travelling team to the US last year, and she thought he was an amazing coach there. What's he like to play for there?
Yeah, he's really good. He's obviously a young coach, so he's passionate, super keen about the game. He speaks to players and rallies the guys on the court is really special, unique. He's not one of those coaches that's going to rip and yell at guys. He speaks to guys the right way, and it's probably something that I need to get better as well too. Sometimes I can get a little bit angry and forget how I'm talking to people, but he's always a good reminder to show how he's to players and stuff in the moment of crisis. And I guess one thing of him that I don't notice with coach, he has the same amount of time and respect for he might be coaching Div 4 Year 7 boys on a Friday night. He'll put just as amount of energy as he would NBL1 game on a Saturday, which is pretty. I know I put as much energy into the Div 4 Year 7 on the court on a Saturday. So yeah, he doesn't matter what age group or if it's male or female or if it's Year 7 boys, boys, it doesn't matter. He's the same energy every time he coaches, which is cool to see.
Well, I think I've seen firsthand the improvement in that, Manly Warringah team as well. Those first couple of seasons, calling their games, they weren't great. They'd sort of, come to Hills, and you'd almost sort of pencil in a win. You'd have to stop, guys like Matthew Eldridge, but there wasn't a lot of depth on the team. That sort of dropped off a little bit after him. But yeah, you guys really built together a strong roster last year. Some local players, obviously some imports as well. So no, it was really exciting to sort of see that. And no, I'm glad you enjoyed the season playing in the mighty NBL1 East anyway.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was good to see a couple of our guys. Jonas Harper obviously got Defensive Player of the Year, and Tim Hill got Coach of the Year. So it was good to see the club give a bit of recognition for the effort that we had.
Speaking of accolades, Mason, Robbie tells me with averages of 19, 9, and 6 that you were unlucky not to make the NBL1 East All-Star 5. What was it like also going up against some stars in that division? I mean, you got Dave O'Hickey there, Alex Higgins, Titcher, Biwali Bells is also there, Will Cranston, Lown, Lachlan Hutchinson as well. Yeah, so a lot of big names in the East. So
yeah, definitely. I think even though the East doesn't boast the higher end NBL talent like the Jason Cadiz and Nathan Sobies and so forth, they've still got such great good local talent like Dave Hickey and Will Cranston. These fringe NBL guys who are still super, super talented. Wiley Bales, these guys, Lockie Hutchison, like you said, all those guys, super, super talented guys. And if, the luck fell their way, playing major minutes in the NBL, but it's just time and opportunity. And those guys just haven't been fortunate enough to fall in place. I mean, Dave O'Hickey and Wiley kind of scratched the surface. Dave O'Hickey, it's been really cool to see him progress with Illawarra. But yeah, those guys are super tough. I'm not sure. I think it was Davo and Will that might have made the All-Star 5, maybe.
Yeah.
So Wiley was super unlucky to miss out, and I thought I was a chance to sneak into the 5 or maybe get a MVP nomination. But as it goes, I'm not too concerned about that stuff these days. I just want to win a championship. So, but at the end of the day, it is nice, a bit of recognition for the hard work you put in, especially when you're working a full-time job and trying to pay rent and groceries and whatever. So, it was cool.
I'll tell you one guy who has got recognition from the East, AHT, Alex Higgins Titcher, right? Now he's at Cairns and making the most of his opportunity. So that's a really nice story. A guy 24, been playing, NBL1 for a few years and waiting for this opportunity, and to see him taking it with both hands must be good for guys like you playing in the East for that success that he's got.
Yeah, and I guess he's taken a similar path to me. I got picked up by Perth when I was like 23, I think, as well, to a very similar age, and he was pretty soon. He wasn't lighting up the stat sheet night in, night out. He was just a solid role player. I think he might have got Defensive Player of the Year before in the East.
We'll tell you.
Yeah, so he was a rebounding machine and really changes your shot. He's kind of playing against Wembanyama out there. Like, he's just so long, lanky. Every time you go for a lap, he's in there trying to block you. So superstars like that that have worked super hard in the state league to get to where they are, getting recognition, especially you see on social media, getting posts and stuff, putting on the NBL. It's really cool to see.
Well, firstly, mate, I had both yourself and Chris Bryant in that NBL1 East All-Star 5, so unfortunately it didn't quite happen. I wanted to ask you about your trip to Castle Hill to play the Mighty Hornets last year. Obviously, Manly got the win there. What was that like? I believe that Hills is probably one of the better stadiums in that NBL1 East. What was that experience like?
Yeah, no, it's really cool. They've actually got not that this has got into with basketball, but they've got the best toasted sandwiches I've ever from the canteen there. So and hot chips, their canteen is off the show. But yeah, the stadium is really nice. It's a lot easier to go when you've got to drive a fair distance to get to the stadium. You walk you've got a nice change room and nice court to play on. So it makes it a lot easier.
Absolutely. And look, I know no official announcements for this upcoming season, so I'm not going to try and put you on the spot, but obviously we're looking forward to hearing some announcements. I know a lot of the various teams across all the NBL1 East, NBL1 competitions are making announcements, so we'll certainly keep an eye on that. We'll announce that once something becomes sort of official there. But yeah, hopefully we'll get a chance to see you again there. But I know Woods, you've just got maybe one or two to finish.
I always ask all our guests, right? I know we talk about basketball, all good. This is a basketball podcast, obviously. But Mason, outside of basketball, what do you do for fun? What do you like to do for hobbies outside of sport, right?
Well, yeah, I wish I had time for hobbies, but unfortunately, being 31 and training and playing every day, like I'm still 21, I spend a lot of time in the ice bath and on the yoga mat and in the salt water doing a lot of recovery. So whenever I'm working or playing basketball, I'm pretty much stretching off. I do surf once every blue moon. I don't get in the water as much as I'd like to anymore, but yeah, that's something that's a really good outlet for me when I'm super stressed out or feel like I need to do something different. I'm pretty massive into my music as well too, so I don't play any instruments and I can't sing at all, but into music and just chilling out and go on the beach. It's not a super exciting answer, but yeah, I'm flat out with my work. I do disability support, and that's a big passion of mine. And my clients are pretty big for me. I worked a pretty big day, 12-hour day today with one of my clients, and seeing those guys happy is what drives me outside of my sport. So,
awesome, man. Tells us a lot about you as a person. So that's great to hear.
Absolutely.
I was
look,
really going to say as well too that with the player announcements, there might be a couple recognised from that might be, so you just keep an eye out for that. So
Interesting.
yeah, there might be a few players across the highway there to come join us. So you just have to wait and see.
Interesting. We lost a few guys to Penrith before last season, so I'll be eagerly anticipating that. I mean, that's always the fun part, the sort of off-season, seeing who's going where. And it's great to see some of these NBL1 East teams spending a bit more money as well. Those first couple of seasons, there was not a lot of teams with imports. And, most teams, I think, this season will have 2 imports, which just shows you how it's growing and everything else like that. So, no, I'll definitely be keeping my eye open eyes on those player announcements there, Mason. But, yeah, look, we just really wanted to thank you for coming on today. I know we've been speaking about this for a while. I know it was probably a shock, some random guy coming up to you, showing you your old Wildcats jersey, but it's been great to have that bit of a connection with you since then. And, we'd love to maybe have you on again in the future. But, yeah, we'll just go to a quick outro now. So, really wanted to thank everyone for tuning in. Please make sure you like, rate and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We can be followed on X at ThrowbacksHoops, Instagram throwback.hoops, and email address throwbackhoops.podcast@gmail.com. Are you on socials, Mason? Is there anyone, can people follow you or anything like that? Or how does that
yeah.
As a bit of an older guy,
Yeah, I've got like Instagram and Facebook, so it's just Mason Bragg. So just whatever my name is, just search it up. But yeah.
No, good stuff. And what about Woods? Any final words? Enjoyed our guest this week?
No, he was awesome, man. It's good to hear that he's gonna go out and watch Jesse's game this Sunday. So I think you'll be on the Wildcats side and I'll be on the Kings side this Sunday. I take it, right? But it should be a good game. Yeah.
No, hopefully
who's winning the game? Who's winning on Sunday?
Perth, definitely. Well, I can't. They're my team, so that's who I go for. I think last time I watched them play, they lost against Brisbane, so it's kind of tough catching up with the guys after the game when they lose. So if they win, it's a bit easy to get down on court and have a chat with them, and the coach isn't too stressed about them getting in the change room. So hopefully they get the win, especially for Jesse's 500th.
Absolutely.
Well, my Sydney Kings, man, you can never know which team's going to turn up on any given day.
Yeah.
It is what it is, right? But I'd just like to thank you, Mason. I know you mentioned you had a long day today at work. To give up the time to just talk to us, and it means a lot to Robbie and I, so we appreciate it. Yeah, no worries, guys. It's all chat. I'll be happy to join anytime. Appreciate it. Got to say as well, Woods, possibly the best moustache we've had on the podcast with Mason today. So full credit to him for that. But just again, really appreciate your time, mate. It's been great having that connection with you, and we'll be following you with interest next year. I really appreciate it. Yeah, cheers. Thanks, guys. Thank you.